that first or second hammer fist was the one that kind of like, put me in another dimension. And but my body is just willing to fight, I guess. Like my body is just ready to go. So it was like the lights were on, but nobody was home. I mean, the reason I was hanging onto his leg was because I was no longer there. And so it was a good stoppage. But man, my willingness to fight just transcends my mind.
It is always my great pleasure to speak to my next guest. A lot of people were asking about this when I generally don't reach out to guys right after a fight, but man, I had so many people be like, how's Drew? What's going on with Drew? So let's just talk to the man himself, Drew Dober. Drew, what's going on, man? How are you?
Good, good. Just enjoying the nothing right now. I'm focusing on recovery.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I know it was a tough one over the weekend, and like I said, I generally don't reach out to guys. I may send you a text, just say, man, tough luck, can't wait to see you back in there, try to leave you alone. But so many people reached out this week, were like, how's Drew doing? And obviously you addressed after the fight. Have you been, I won't say surprised, but have you been impressed? Like there was just been an outpouring of support for you after this fight, the way things played out and everything. And obviously you were very open and honest and addressed it right afterwards, but I just had so many people like, well, you got to talk to Drew. You got to talk to Drew.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to be in it, right? I mean, losing sucks, especially in the fashion in which I lost. Like it's painful, but man, you gotta practice what you preach. And I always tell people that you gotta face fear. You just gotta be in it. So I just hopped on social media and I was like, all right, whether it's good or bad, like I'm here to be in it. And surprising enough, man, I've received so much positive support from friends, family, and then the fans, and man, it's just been relieving and pleasant.
Yeah. Can I ask, because I don't. Every fighter's different. Did you go back and rewatch the fight after you got back? Have you rewatched the fight?
Yeah, absolutely. I rewatch it as soon as I can because I don't remember too much towards the end there. So, man, watch the video. I have my opinion on it, but first and foremost, man, I apologize to all my loved ones from what they had to witness because that did not look good.
Well, it's one of those things where, obviously, listen, this is the sport. Sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. That's just how the sport goes. And I think going into the fight, like one of the reasons why you are such a popular guy is because we know when Drew Dober goes in there to fight, we are going to get a Drew Dober fight. Did that surprise you in that particular way? Because I know he had that long reach and he tagged you. And listen, that's just the sport. When you rewatch it there, you just like I zigged where I should have zagged.
That's generally how I feel about it. I'm watching that fight. There's not much of it, and I hate the fact that I only gave like a minute and 30 seconds of a fight. But I wanted to see where did I go wrong? And so I watched the fight multiple times, and truthfully, I was doing everything that I needed to do. I worked on my improvements, my game plan, my motion, my feints. I was working them up against the fence. I was taking chances. So everything was like in a position for it to be one hell of a fight. And the only other aspect is there's a little bit of luck involved. And man, he committed to the 1-2 off that fence, and he found the mark on it. Completely coherent on the knockdown. I mean, we're all fighters. We get punched in the mouth. Like, there's no such thing as a perfect fight. So I fell on my butt. I shot for that takedown to kind of get that fight going. And it was that first or second hammer fist that landed at the side of my head that kind of just put it away. So. What I got from it was, man, I still have it. I'm still talented. I'm eager for the next one. But I mean, Manuel Torres he nailed the bullseye. He took a chance on an opportunity and, man, got a critical hit.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I ask you, let me just ask you now, since we're already talking about the stoppage, because right after the fight, there was two sides. There was one side said, Mike Beltran let it go on way too long because he was throwing the hammer fist. It's like, should have stopped it earlier. Then I see the other side, because you bounced up so quickly, they're like, man, was he not even out? Like, what happened? So can you tell me, like, in that moment, like, good stoppage, bad stoppage, unfair? Like, how did you feel about it? And now that you've had the time to go back and rewatch and reflect on it, because I've heard both sides. Some people say it should have been stopped. Some people said you're trying to let Drew get killed. I don't know which way it is.
Yeah, no, I never went back and forth. It was a good stoppage. That first or second hammer fist was the one that kind of like, put me in another dimension. And but my body is just willing to fight, I guess. Like my body is just ready to go. So it was like the lights were on, but nobody was home. I mean, the reason I was hanging onto his leg was because I was no longer there. And so it was a good stoppage. But man, my willingness to fight just transcends my mind.
Yeah, it's just such an awkward thing because your head is down, so we can't see, right? Like we can't see, and you're still holding on. So on video, it looks like you're still fighting, and then when it's over, you jump right back up. So everyone's like, "Whoa, whoa!" Like what was going on? So I get like the reaction of like, "What was the stoppage?" But I appreciate you saying that because like everyone was wondering because in that moment, you just don't know. You bounced up so quick, it's almost like were you actually out or not? Like there was that question because you did get up like immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I'm built for this sport, and so like my body is ready to throw hands no matter what. But if you watch, I mean, technically, when you want to finish the takedown, you want your grip above your knee, right, above your opponent's knee. And so I was shooting for a takedown, trying to get that. And after the first or second hammer fist, you see my grip just drop below his knee to like a low single. I don't ever do that takedown. So that was not a productive movement. So yeah, if you want to watch that film, the moment my grip goes below his knee, that was when the fight should have been stopped.
Yeah, yeah, and then there's the flip side that said he should have stopped it earlier. And there's part of me that like I do a podcast with Matt Brown, and Matt knows you from being out in Colorado, and Matt's like one of those guys. He's like, dude, let me just get murdered. He's like, I don't want you to stop it until I'm absolutely done. Like I do not want you to give me every possibility to get out of there. And in that moment, it is kind of tough to see. So like, can I imagine you don't hold ill will against Mike Beltran for letting it go as long as he did? Like you don't strike me as that kind of guy. But I'll ask you a question: like, should he have stopped it earlier?
No, I mean, for my health, I think it could have been stopped earlier. However, I don't cast blame on the referee because he's, trying to do his job. He told me in the locker room that he knows the way I fight. He knows how much damage I can take. He's going to give me every opportunity to improve my position. So really, the person to blame, for the later stoppage is the fact that my body just kept fighting regardless of my mind being absent. So, I don't cast any blame. Everyone was doing their job, even Manuel Torres. So, unfortunately, it is what it is.
There's another fight, whether it's past or future, where maybe you get rocked and the referee allowing you to continue allows you to come back and win. So there's like two sides of it, right? Like you don't want him to stop it early because then you can come back because we know the kind of heart and will you put in your fights where it's kill or be killed. And we've seen you go out there, you get tagged, but you come right back and knock the guy out. So again, there's like it's like a balancing act, right? Like you don't want him to stop it too early because you've got that ability in you.
Right. I mean, and I chose an unfortunate career for my health, so it's just kind of like, yeah, we're not gonna have perfect careers in in MMA, so we're gonna take a punch and we're gonna recover from it. And I think refs, should lean more on the step back and let the pros do their work.
Yeah. I remember talking to you, I think it was during the pandemic when you were out there and you were training with Justin Gaethje. And I remember talking to you about those legendary sparring sessions out in Colorado. And Justin is one of my favorite guys because you guys have a very similar fighting style. You go out there and put on a show every single time. But Justin doesn't get credit for how smart he is. Like when he comes off a fight like that, what happened last year with Max Holloway, he didn't rush back. He took the time off, got his mind right, got his brain right. Didn't just try to, I got to get a win. I got to get this loss off my record. I know you kind of said on I want to say it was Instagram or Twitter, you're like, you're going to take some time, be a dad, take it. So is that important to you, like allowing yourself to heal after a fight like that? Because like you don't have physical scars, you know what I mean? Like you're not, you don't have that kind of thing. But obviously you got to be careful with your brain anytime you deal with a knockout, right?
No, I highly agree. I think I made the joke before the fight that I'm like the diet Justin Gaethje because just training with Gaethje, like him and I have like the same mentality when it comes to like fighting. So, so with that being said, we also have the same mentality of after fights. And I'm not going to be a Dagestan wrestler. I know when I fight, I'm going to get punched in the head. It's just kind of like what happens in my fighting style. So I need to make sure that my head is a quality and able to take the punishment. So I will take time off. I'm about to see like a neurologist on Friday about, the status of my head. I'm wearing these blue light glasses. I just got done doing a hyperbaric chamber. Doing everything I possibly can to make sure that my brain heals correctly and properly before I get back into training.
Can I ask, like, in terms of just how you feel, like, how do you seem like when you're on social media, you seem like you're in good spirits. So do you feel okay? I mean, in terms of like, because I remember, like, I'm sure you may not remember this, years ago, TJ Grant, who I love back in the day, took a errant heel in the head during a jiu-jitsu training and sadly never fought again. He had a concussion. Concussions are weird things. They affect one guy. I remember I got into a car accident, felt fine. After the car accident, I was perfectly fine. The next day, it felt like my head got hit with a brick. It was like 24 hours later. So just in terms of how you're feeling right now, how are you feeling?
Health wise, man, it might be just like my weird Neanderthal genetics or something like that, that bone density or something like that, because I don't really feel any symptoms of a concussion, like no sensitivity to light, no dizziness, no headache, no nothing. So it's just one of those things. Or after watching the film, it's safe to say that I received one, so I'm treating it accordingly. But as far as like my health goes, like I feel fine, and so we're gonna try to make sure that we don't do any more additional damage in training.
Yeah. Do you appreciate that, like, the career you've had, you've built up this kind of goodwill with people where it's just um, like in this moment, like I said, I would not normally I would not reach out to you in this moment, but like everyone's like, we want to hear from Drew. We want to talk to Drew. And like, even win, lose or draw, like you've just been very open and honest. Do you appreciate that you kind of build that goodwill in? And again, very much like Justin Gaethje, where it's just like, dude, win or lose, we love this guy. Like we just love watching you go out there and perform. And I know, listen, you could, when I reached out to your manager, I was like, hey, can we do it? If you would have said, dude, I don't want to talk, I'm like, cool, I get it. Like, I totally understand. He's like, no, Drew's totally cool talking. Like, do you appreciate that you kind of build that goodwill with the audience? Like, win, lose, or draw, people still love you, man. Like, they absolutely adore you. And like I said, I almost felt bad reaching out, but then everyone's like, how's Drew? How's Drew doing? Not everyone does that. I don't get those messages from everybody after a fight. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everyone's just like wanting to hear from you.
Yeah, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised as well. I mean, I was ready for the internet to be just super, super painful. But as of right now, I'm just trying to be authentic. I'm just trying to be who I am. And I got this golden retriever mentality of like, I'm always just wanting to talk to people and stuff like that. So I was like, why don't we use this super dark moment of my career and my life to expand on the fact that like, I just want to be involved. I want to, be in front of my fans, friends, and family. I want to communicate. I don't want to go into hiding and just hate life in hiding. So I was like, yeah, I'm just going to commit to it the night of my fight, like post a joke, comment on it, talk about it, because at the end of the day, like we all win, we all lose, but I want to be involved in MMA and the fans of MMA the most I can. So the only way to do that is I just let you guys know how easy it is to talk to me.
Yeah. You mentioned on one of your posts, you talked about like, obviously you had two fights in Mexico that did not go your way, but you said you still loved it down there. I don't know if you saw, like, Joe Pyfer released a pretty harsh statement. He did not enjoy Mexico. I think it sounds like maybe he got food poisoning, which kind of led to his fight being canceled. So I understand that part of it. But even though you did not have a good experience, you said like, hey, I still love Mexico. So how was the experience fighting in Mexico? You've done it twice now, years apart. But you said very openly, like, hey, I still liked it down there. I know it didn't work out too well for Joe, though. He did not enjoy it, it seems.
Yeah. So let's talk about the two losses in Mexico. The last one, where I got caught by a 1-2 and then hammer fisted 20 times, and then just confusion in front of the millions. And then the time before that, I throw a head kick, slip, and then I sat up into a guillotine. And it's like 30 seconds. So I like a total of 2 minutes of fighting in Mexico City, and two of my most embarrassing losses. And so they have that stigma, but everything else surrounding the food, the people, the culture, the audience, the energy, like they're loving, like their love of fighting. Everything about it was so much fun. And, I think the only disappointing part was me having to avoid the delicious food food for so many days. But no, I really enjoyed Mexico City. I really enjoy fighting there. I'd look forward to doing it again and trying to break the curse, I guess. But yeah, I'm literally the polar opposite of Joe Pfeiffer, and I really enjoyed it.
Did you get to enjoy a little food afterwards at least? Because like at least get a couple get some good food afterwards.
Oh yeah. Luckily the event was over by 8 p.m. So me and the team found like this Mexican diner, which is what I called it, but it was like a taco shop. And dude, I devoured so many tacos, various food items that people like sent to my table, along with like churros. And yeah, we made up for the 6 days in about 2 hours.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, you gotta have the good food out there. And I think part of the reason, like obviously you training in Denver, like being out in Mexico City, they made such a big deal about the altitude. And I get it, like it is even higher altitude, but I think there's a reason why guys like yourself end up fighting down there because they know you train at altitude. So they're probably less worried about a Drew Dober fighting down there. Like I think was it years ago they had a couple of heavyweight fights down there, and they're like, yeah, we're never doing this again. We're never putting heavyweights on the Mexico City card again. So there's a reason why I think you're there. Now I'm curious. Obviously, right now you said you're going to go get your test, your neurology, and all those kind of things done. So I assume, and I already know the answer before I ask this question. You're not even thinking about a timeline to return until you get everything right? Like you're not even thinking about that until you make sure everything is cool coming out the fight. Is that fair to say?
I mean, yeah, there's definitely a safe and a more intelligent way to kind of like step, healing and then getting back in training and all that stuff. But man, I can't live my life without a goal. And so my goal was, I think on my Instagram live, I said July. That might be a little soon, but I think like maybe like an August or September. I gotta play around with like what would be the safest time frame. But man, I'm enthusiastic for the idea of like an August fight. Like, man, this is what I love. I don't have enough time. I don't have a lot of time left. So if my brain is healthy and my body feels good, I'm going to get back into training, and we're going to aim to try to fight, at least 2 more times this year.
I love it. I love it. Can I ask, like, obviously you travel and you said you had a great time in Mexico. Is there a hope the UFC comes back to Denver sometime relatively soon? Because I was out there for a couple of the cards. I went out there for the Broomfield card back. I think it was Benson Henderson. Like that feels like I'm going back quite a few years. And Denver's been like, I know BKFC's been holding cards out there, and I know UFC has been to Denver, but like, is there a hope they come back to Denver? Because that's like one that we see all these areas they're traveling to. I'm like, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm misremembering, but it feels like it's been a little while since they've been to Denver.
I mean, I feel like, so my last fight in July was in Denver. So
was that recently? Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. That's right. That's right.
Like
you're absolutely right. Yeah.
So I don't know how soon, if they are going to come back, I want to be a part of it. But yeah, I feel like the UFC might be a little shell shocked from the disaster in which it was the last Denver card. Like I agreed to fight 5 different opponents, and then the whole Rose Namajunas and was a Cortez situation.
That's like, right. Yeah.
It was a very chaotic card. So I think the UFC might just be like holding off on the next one.
For some reason, I had it in my head that was Utah. I don't know why I had in my head that one was in Utah. They've done a couple of cars in Utah recently. I don't know why that was the one I had in my head that was Utah. But yeah, you're absolutely right. But it's such a great area out there. I love Denver. Like I love that area out there. It's a great place to watch fights. Because like I said, when I know the last time I was there, I think it was technically Broomfield, but Denver, that area. So hopefully they do come back out there. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that. That's right. For some reason I had in my head that was Utah. I don't know why. But yeah, do you like fight? Do you like fighting at home? I know some guys don't. Like, do you like fighting close to home?
I do. Yeah, no, I like fighting close to home. But like in addition to that, I also loved, vacations where I get to fight in other countries, which is a lot of fun. The thing that I'm actually craving the most, man, I was really eager to get on one of those Kansas City or Des Moines cards. So like, man, if you just put me close to Omaha, Nebraska again, like I would love to have a fight in Omaha, Nebraska, and just having all the like people that supported me from day one show up in that arena. But in all honesty, I don't have a huge preference. I'll fight anywhere and anyone.
when I talked to Anthony Smith, who's doing his retirement fight in Kansas City, and he was like, outside of doing it in Omaha, he's like, Kansas City was like the next best thing, so it was close enough. So because I know the UFC has obviously done shows in Omaha, so like that would be the idea. It's funny because there's so many fighters who've come from Nebraska, but they haven't gone to Omaha in a while. And I know like Anthony said, like that would have been perfect, but Kansas City was a good number too. So maybe they'll go back to Omaha. Maybe that'll be even better.
I mean, I'm all for it. Sign me up. But Kansas City was also a place I fought a ton. Des Moines, I probably had more fights in Des Moines than I did actually in Omaha. So I get to be at these events, and I look forward to watching Anthony Smith's fight, and then Jeremy Stevens in Des Moines, and I'm excited just to be a spectator.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Drew, I tell you what, man, like I said, I really appreciate you doing this. Like I said, right after the fight, I just had so many people reaching out and people saying, we want to hear from Drew. And again, you've been so open and honest. I was like, maybe he'll want to talk. So I appreciate you doing this. And like I said, man, I know, listen, losing sucks. There's no way to cut. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I know it sucks, but man, you are one of the most entertaining, fun fighters in the world to watch. Win, lose, or draw. You always go out there and put a show on. You always leave it on the shield. You never not go out there and give it your all. And I think the fans see that. I think there's a reason why so many people were like, "Hey, man, can you talk to Drew? How's Drew doing?" Says the testament to the career you built that people care that much. And so again, I know it doesn't make it any better, doesn't make the loss suck any less, but the fact that so many people are reaching out, and again, I really do appreciate you doing this. So man, hope everything, like I said, get cleared and everything, but August, September, hopefully see you back in there. And I think more likely than not, you're going to be the hammer the next time.
Yeah, we're working so hard that man, the next fight, luck is not going to play a factor. But I definitely want to say I appreciate all the messages, all the fans, all the support and positivity, and even you reaching out just to talk to me, because talking about it is so much better than just hiding in a room about it. So losing sucks. We ain't doing that again.